Alright guys, so you wouldn't believe it, but my $1,000 E46 is broken. It's got a leak that I need to address. So I've been working on the Fiesta, I've been working on my Mustang, which is behind the Fiesta, my Corvette, which is right there. I've been working on that stuff, you know, been daily in the E46, it's been going great. I'm gonna make a video on this later, but I did the O2 pilot mod, which if you know E46s, you probably know what that is. And after I did that, it was consuming a good bit of oil before, but oil consumption is down to basically none now. So I'm very excited about that. And then I also did a piston flush, or a piston soak. So I did that. You probably know what that is too. If you don't, you can just look that stuff up. It's very common. You can read all about it. But I will make a video on the O2 pilot mod because I want to explain it a little bit and just show my success with it. But that'll be a separate video. So I've been driving it, and then the other day I smelled coolant, and I was like, okay, a coolant hose or something's gone bad because, you know, they're older, they're a bit squishy. This one's been replaced, but that lower one, same thing. So I was like, okay, it's probably a hose. And then I get out and I look, and all the coolant's just everywhere because it's leaking on the belt and it's flinging it everywhere. So then I get it home, I poured water in it and limped it home. And then what I found was it looks like it's coming out of the water pump, and then leaking down the block, going on the crank pulley, going everywhere. So I got to replace the water pump. So in order to do that, I took the airbox off to be able to see more stuff because it takes a second to take off. You take this top thing off, which is just a few clips, and then it pops off. And then the fan, that's just 2 Torx, one right here, one right here that mine's missing, and that comes off. My radiator has already been replaced, so I don't have to worry about that. I think these tend to wear out as well. Now I have room to get to the water pump. First I'm going to drain the coolant, and then I'm going to start taking the water pump out. It's just 4 bolts, I believe, and it seems pretty simple to do. I'll update you guys once I make some progress. First thing I did was get the bottom hose off. The one right here came off pretty easy, but the lower portion, that had to be pried off a little bit. So, but I ended up getting that off. I'm gonna take the top one off too, because I'm pulling this thermostat housing off, and I'm gonna be replacing the seal in there, because again, while I have no coolant in it, I might as well, because I don't want to have to drain the cooling system again. All right, got the thermostat housing off. This old gasket, it's not in too bad of a shape, but I might as well replace it while I have everything off. Now time to do the water pump. First thing you gotta do is take off the bolts for the actual pulley, so that can come off. You just loosen them, then you take the belts off, and then you take the pulley off, and then you can remove the water pump, and then just install. All right, so the tensioner, it has a cap on it, like this cap, and you have to pick it off with like a pick, and then inside of there, there's a T50 bolt, and you turn it clockwise, so tighten it, and it relieves tension. You can pull the belt off the idler right there, and then now the water pump's free. All right, now the pulley's off. Just inspect it for cracks. This one looks pretty good, so I'll reuse it. Now you can see the water pump's right here. Ooh, you can hear, ooh, and it's wobbling. So yeah, that's how you would know there's a so it was leaking out of the seal, and it just sounds ugly. The bearing is shot, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing I'm putting a new one in, because this one's dead. That's why it started leaking, because it's on its last leg. Now you can really hear it. And then here's the new one. It's Gates. Quiet as a mouse. Before you put this in, you want to grease the O-ring. You don't ever want to put O-rings in dry. So grease them, then slide it in. Makes it a lot easier, and it won't tear the O-ring or anything like that. All right, got the new water pump on there. the torque is 7.5 foot-pounds. I don't know what that is inch pounds, but I am going to tighten them down to tight because my torque wrench doesn't read that low and my inch pounds torque wrench is junk. So what I'm going to do is just tighten them until they're tight. 7 foot-pounds is not a lot. It's a few days later now, but I ended up reassembling everything. Everything went in pretty smooth, and I bled the cooling system, as you can tell by coolant on everything. To bleed it, I jacked up this corner so that would raise this. So this is like the highest point for air to come out. And then you take this bleeder valve out all the way and you pour coolant in it until you see a steady stream coming out of here, then close that up. And then I left the cap off while I bled the system with the heat on, and it eventually bled. It took a little bit, but it eventually bled. Now that the BMW is running and driving again with no issues, knock on wood, I got new wheels for it.
I purchase more wheels when I feel like I'm third wheeling. My favorite part of the double R's, the bird ceiling.
So these wheels aren't anything special. They're just off of like a 328i, a little bit later year one, like a 2008 to 10 or something like that. I forget what. I got them for $200 and they have pretty good tires on them. The tread is hardly worn down. They weren't used that much. So yeah, I'm excited. The ones that I have on it are M3 off a E46. So I'm just gonna sell these, and I like the styling of these also. So I'm just gonna get rid of these. And then the wheels that came with the car, I don't like these at all, so I'm gonna sell these too. And I'm just gonna keep these with the car because I like the styling and they're not M wheels on a non-M car, and they were only $200, so I can't complain. Got the wheels on and I think they look pretty good. What I'm gonna do now is set up the string method for an alignment just to fix, because the steering wheel is not straight, just to fix that really. For some reason, every alignment shop I go to, they never do a good job. So I'm kind of not going to alignment shops anymore. I'm just gonna do them myself from now on, because every single time I have to bring it back, and it's so annoying. All right, so now the alignment should be a little better now. So what I found out is this side was seized for the front tie rod, so they didn't even try to mess with it, I guess, because there's no wrench marks on anything. But I got it unseized, free all. And then this side was not seized, so with my string, I was able to see they did adjust this side, but then this side they just left how it was. So then this side was out and that side was in. And then they told me that the alignment was good to go. My steering wheel was going to be straight and everything. But no, I've been driving it and it's like they did nothing basically. So the back's still a little off, I saw. Let me check this side's back actually. This side's back is off a little too. So I just give up on alignment places. If I'm noticing uneven tire wear or I just feel the alignment's still a little off, I'll probably go through it and do the rear, then do the front from scratch basically. But I'm gonna go take it for a drive. First I gotta torque down my wheels, and then I'll take it for a drive and see how it drives. It is driving good. Steering wheel is still a little bit off, but I'll just have to fine tune it a little bit. But it's not pulling as much, or really, it's not pulling anymore. Even though before it was just a very slight pull, but that definitely helped. I think these wheels look pretty good and they're not too overkill. Like, I don't need these huge big ones in the rear, and I like these styles wheels, but these for $200 with these tires have way more tread than these, so I can't complain. And these just have a little bit of curb rash on each of them, just a slight amount. And then this one, it's like, it needs to be repainted, needs to be redone. This one has curb rash everywhere. So these look pretty clean for the money. That's it for the BMW for this episode. Now the next thing that breaks will be the next video on it. I really don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm debating selling or keeping it, just because whenever I can sell a car, I pick one to sell so I can keep having cars come in. And it's gonna be a tough decision, because it will either be like this or like my CRX or S2000 or something. So I'll really have to decide. If I do keep this, I might turbo it. I've been watching a lot of Hell Rock Garage and just watching his turbo builds on these, and I was like, man, I would love to do that. So I might do that if I keep it. We'll just have to see what I decide to keep and what I decide to sell. So me fixing the alignment fixed the traction light and yellow brake light always being on for whatever code it was throwing. I now own a BMW with no warning lights.
Was me and you, ocean views, rolling up that cookie while we chilling by the pool, twist it up and keep it lit, you know.